The United Nations has warned that another humanitarian catastrophe is unfolding in Sudan's besieged city of Al-Obeid. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk says that civilians there have endured siege-like conditions for the past 18 months with critical shortages of clean water and drone strikes. Turk said that his office has documented executions, abductions, torture, and sexual violence along routes used by displaced people along the Kordofan region. Now, the warning, it is coming as the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, are reporting to be tightening their siege on the city. Sudan's war erupted in April of 2023 after months of escalating tension between the Sudanese army and the RSF. The conflict has killed at least 59,000 people and displaced around 13 million. Parts of the country are facing famine. The conflict has left more than 30 million people in need of humanitarian assistance.
Signs from Al-Obeid are clear and unmistakable. Another human rights catastrophe is unfolding in Sudan, this time in the capital of the strategic state of North Kordofan. Civilians have been subjected to siege-like conditions for 18 months, battered by relentless drone strikes as the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces battle for control over areas surrounding the city.
And we're joined now by Dr. Eva Khair. She is global policy professional, medical doctor, and founder of the Sudan Transnational Consortium. Thank you so much for your time. How serious is the threat facing civilians in and around now Al-Obeid?
It's a very serious situation. Al-Obeid has been under siege for some 18 months, and citizens and non-citizens inside, of course, it's a 500,000 citizen town with hundreds of thousands of IDPs, internally displaced people, sheltering in and around there. The city has been under siege for 18 months. It's been starved. Fuel depots have been hit, water facilities, and essentially this city is not only being starved, but strangulated.
Why is it so strategically important in this conflict?
Well, Al-Obeid is the capital city of North Kordofan. It sort of lies in the middle of the country, slightly to the south, but it's certainly a gateway from the west, where the Rapid Support Forces, the paramilitary militia, is planning to march through in order to recapture the capital city of Khartoum in around the center, and the east of the country, eventually to the east of the country, where the de facto government, the Sudanese armed forces, had been based, and of course it is currently now in Khartoum. So essentially it is it's on the road to recapturing the capital and the rest of the country, which is the ultimate goal.
The UN's human rights chief, Volker Turk, has said that world leaders should be urgently working to prevent another catastrophe. What practical steps could the international community take right now?
I think, there was a lot of reference to what happened in Al-Fashir in Darfur. And when you think of the massacre that unfolded there, a massacre which had the hallmarks of genocide, according to the UN fact-finding mission in Sudan, even Al-Fashir had a UN arms embargo to protect Darfur, and that was still breached. It had a whole UN Security Council resolution, 2736, to protect it, and that did not help the citizens or the city. And so what the international community needs to do now is show that it is serious about atrocity prevention. We know that atrocities are being committed in Sudan, were committed across Darfur by the RSF paramilitary forces, and they are now marching towards Obeid using the exact same tactics, the exact same playbook. So what we need to see is concrete steps taken towards prevention. That's not just calling out the RSF and sanctioning its generals. It's taking meaningful steps to sanction those countries that are backing the RSF. It's not just in the region. There is a global network. We've had Colombian fighters. We've had Serbian fighters in there. That it's not just the United Arab Emirates and regional powers. It's a global response. But certainly starting with the United Arab Emirates, asking them, working with them to say, actually, this is not how business is going to be done in Sudan, and there needs to be a new approach, a new economy in approaching Sudan. But one of the concerns that we have is that US and UK and other Western powers are very unlikely to call off or even speak to their allies in strong terms, or indeed to trade their other interests with each other for Sudan. Sudan has not been escalated as a diplomatic priority, and that has cost lives.
The war has now entered its fourth year. Millions have been displaced, large parts of the country facing famine. I mean, you articulated some of the reasons you believe why this continues. Why do you think Sudan has struggled to remain on the international agenda more broadly?
Well, there's of course a lot going on in the world. It's not just sort of vast publics. It's also policymakers, governments, and the media that can be sort of their time can be taken up with lots of other crises domestically and internationally. The region itself is a hotbed of conflicts and catastrophes. So yes, there is a lot going on in the world. Unfortunately, Sudan's is the world's largest humanitarian catastrophe right now. It's also the world's largest hunger, displacement, and protection crisis. And isn't just because it's numbers in the tens and 20s and 30s of millions that it should matter. Sudan's is a population that is on the brink. And if people can't survive inside the country, they're going to have to leave the country. And that is having a humanitarian impact, compounding the humanitarian situation in neighboring countries such as South Sudan and Chad and others. There are 7 countries surrounding Sudan, and they will all struggle with the influx. But, in terms of maintaining attention, all the attention in the world has not helped other conflicts. It isn't just about attention. It isn't just about media coverage. It's about political will. It's about actually meaning what we say, upholding international human rights and humanitarian law, preventing genocides, preventing atrocities, and not just paying lip service at international moments and moving on.
Looking beyond the current crisis, what do you think it would take to put Sudan on a path toward peace and recovery?
Oh, this war is raging on multiple levels. At the local level, there are ethnic tensions and communities do rub off against each other, sometimes in poor and devastating ways. There's also the national level problem where the Sudanese armed forces and their ex-allies, the paramilitary rapid support forces, have fallen out and have now decided to grab the resources of the country for themselves. There's a regional aspect with neighboring countries, as I said, the United Arab Emirates on one side, but also Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, Iran, Russia's in the mix, Israel is in the background. There are lots of regional actors, but there's also the global, it's a globalized conflict. And so when it comes to Sudanese civilian sovereignty, not just state level, but civilian sovereignty, democratic sovereignty, good governance, and really opportunity, stability, health, education for the average Sudanese, citizen and non-citizen, for them to have a chance, we really need both Sudanese actors with power, regional actors and member states with power and a stake and an interest in Sudan to put the Sudanese people above their ambition, above their greed, above the colonial imperatives and practices. But essentially, it's not a case of the whole world leaving Sudan alone. It's a case of global actors working with Sudanese partners, working with those who have an interest or a history in Sudan to make sure that the Sudanese civilian is put at the top of the priority list.
Dr. Eva Khair, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.